Alright, and welcome to the Promethei section of our final Primal Basic, number 8, the Phyre Thong. So I didn't come up with the name Phyre Thong, that's what it's called. Although you'll find it if you look it up online, the regular way you spell fire, F-I-R-E, fire, Phyre Thong. The method, the technique with the funny sounding name. Okay, that's what it is. But who am I to break with tradition? Anyway, this will be the shortest section of the Primal Basics. There's not much variation to it at all. And one of the main reasons for that is because it's extremely limited to materials. Basically, there's only two things that I'm aware of, at least, that in the world you can use to pull off a Phyre Thong, and that is rattan and bamboo. Okay, so if you don't have those two materials, I don't think you could pull off a Phyre Thong, at least to my knowledge. Okay, if there is something else out there, I would really like to hear about it and know about it and see it done. Or get it done. This was the last method I ever learned. And one of the reasons for that is because there's not many people in the world who can do Phyre Thong, have ever learned Phyre Thong. There aren't many teachers of this method. And I never came across a teacher that actually knew it. Not at all. So I learned this method online. I tried to look up as many videos as I could, but I'll tell you, there's not much out there. There's not a lot out there. So a few natives, people from New Guinea, Papua New Guinea, but I'd have to say that my real teacher in this was a video by Mal Stevens, who teaches main primitive skills, who does a demonstration on YouTube regarding the Phyre Thong. He does other methods as well, and they're really great at it. Very good videos. I highly recommend it. But the only way I could really see it done step by step to get it done was their video. So I want to thank them now for that, and give credit to them for really allowing us to see it step by step through that. Otherwise, some of the other ones are like tourists who are seeing natives, like even in the towns, kind of showing how to light a cigarette by getting a quick hole with the Phyre Thong and things like that. But you don't see how they make it. You just see them have the pieces and doing it. But the key for us really is practice and training and going from start to finish, right? What do we need? How do we put it together? And then doing the technique and the method. So if I knew that, though, that if I ran into trouble, if I was going to have complications without being able to figure something out, I had my variables. As far as I know, this is all of them. So I've been doing this since I was a Boy Scout, like around 11 years old, and these are all the ones that I figure I can come up with, right? And we've gone over multiple times. And I knew that if I had trouble, it was something I was doing wrong with one of these, and it didn't take too long to figure out, actually, and once I got the idea, it really took off. All right. So right now we're going to go into, and this is going to be a very short section. So we're going to do the basic now, and then only a few things of Art of the Variation, because there isn't much variation to it really at all. Epimethei, and then we're on to our whole next part, the Civilized Variations, which I've been waiting forever to get to. I'm telling you. Alright, on to Science of the Basic Form. Alright, and welcome to Science of the Basic Form, our second segment in the Phyre Thong. Now, let's go over the core 2. It's going to be very basic. Okay. Now, the material we're going to start off with, though, is going to be rattan. And again, there really are only two materials you can do this as far as I'm aware. And it's rattan and bamboo. Because they have the kind of tensile strength. It's like a wood that is the perfect cordage. Okay? And technically, they're not even woods. Rattan is like a root base. Rattan is like a very large growth of like a root system that I'm aware of. And bamboo is grass. So technically none of them are actually woods. And both of them are from Asia, which is probably one of the reasons why Phyre Thong has never occurred or happened in the Americas, or pretty much any other part of the world that does not have rattan and bamboo. So the core 2, there's the male blade, which in this case is a flexible strip of rattan or bamboo, in this case rattan. The base is, and there's two schools of thought on this. The base should either be rectangular on the bottom, okay, or it can be round. Either way, the friction that's going to happen as your blade, this is a used blade, goes around the base, okay, it's going to be in a circular motion regardless. So I don't really see any real reason why it needs to be rectangular. It's going to be cutting into those corners, and I can't really see how that's going to help put coal dust in the hole or the notch, but it works for some people. I mean, I've done the rectangular base technique on the bottom, and I mean, it does work, but you could see what happens. There's a space on top before it actually starts reaching and burning into the notch. At least this way, when it's round, it has contact throughout the entire surface area, the entire convexity, okay? So, for the basic, I'm going to say I prefer that you do it with a round surface as your base, okay? What materials could be for the base? Well, obviously you can do rattan on rattan, and you can do bamboo on bamboo. So, but you can use any good, what I'm going to say, Bojo wood. And by Bojo wood, I don't mean something so hard that you have to use an Egyptian drill with that. Remember the Egyptian drill where you have to put the cord around multiple times, and that way you can really bear down on it when the wood is of a higher density or hardness. Well, we don't want those woods. We want woods that you can do normally with a Bojo, okay, which are not going to take extra effort or extra technique or extra devices, okay, extra twists in the cord. So we already did sodal quite a few times. We did it with fire plow, fire saw. I think we're going to give this sodal a rest. And again, this is on the lower end, the softer end of density and hardness, okay? So here's a piece of a base that I've used before. Notice it is round, okay? And I've gotten 3 coals out of this one. And this is what it looks like after you've done the technique. This is the split stick method. I don't have the peg in there. But you can see it burns on a curve, okay? And the coal collects in the split. Now there's two well, there's still 3 ways to do this. You could do the groove method, which I don't like, because if you get too close to the bottom of the groove, you can end up destroying your coal. So you should have enough room for your coal to groove, to grow, and to breathe. So there's 2 preferable methods for the basic. One is a hole, which goes all the way through and really contains that coal. Make sure it's going to be the appropriate size too, like we talked about. And the split method. Okay? And again, the split must be of the appropriate space. But we're going to put the sodal aside, and because I could do any wood, and we've done plenty of sodal. So we're just going to go ahead and do rattan on rattan. All right. Now here I've taken a base of rattan. Now notice that it's whiter on this side. Well, that's because rattan has a skin on it, almost like a glazed skin, which protects it. Now, before you do your technique, before you start your method for the base, you have to take that off. Okay. So here's what I did with this. I got my belt sander. And also when you split rattan, it's a little like bamboo. The edges are very sharp. So what I did was, for my own personal comfort and safety, I took down all the edges with the belt sander. Okay, so there's no sharp edges. I also took down any splinters, because rattan, when you split it, has a lot of splintering. So, and then here I just happened to, with the belt sander, take off the skin. Now you notice all the skin is off when there's no more shine, and it's all of a white color. Okay, so this is ready to go as a base. Well, tell you what we're going to do. First, we're going to do the hole method, and then we're going to do the split stick method, okay, on the rattan. So this is going to be our basic form. So how big does your base have to be? Well, it should be at a minimum 1.25 inches across, in my opinion. Okay, and if you go smaller than that, you may run out of surface area to be able to pull it off. I think this is really a good size. It's about, I really wouldn't go smaller than 1 inch. Okay, because the surface area is important. You need it. It has to be there. The length of this piece just happens to be 18 inches, but how the method works is you step on the base, and depending on what your comfort is, you could step on it with 1 foot, or you could step on it with 2 feet. And I like to step on it with 2 feet. So I like to have it a little longer than usual. Okay, so this is 18 inches, and but you'll see when I start to do the method. This is what the whole thing looks like as a whole piece. This one's a little larger. Okay, you can see it's completely round, and the grain is just perfect. It's consistent throughout. So, and has the skin on it here. All right. Here's a longer piece, and it's in half, as you can see. Okay. This one is, well, it's actually 39 inches long. It's almost 40 inches. And this is going to be our male blade. All right. So, what you need, and this is my opinion, now other people will tell you other things that, about sizes of the ribbon, the blade. My preference is 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch in width and length when you split this down. So what we do is we take our knife, okay, what you would be doing is you'd be, first of all, probably have a whole section, and you would quarter it, okay, you'd put this in quarters, and then you would put it down to eighths, and then you could scrape. Then you can, if it was a really big section, you could go down to 16ths. of like pieces of pie when you cut this thing out. And then hopefully those sections at their widest points are 1/4 of an inch. Alright, so but we already have a half section here. So what I'm going to do is start a split here carefully. Okay. Alright. And we're going to put that 1/4 aside. Now, here's a 1/4 size piece, and it's somewhat triangular, but it's larger than 1/4 of an inch in width across. So we're going to take that down again. And I think this will be a perfect size, actually. Now, another thing you can do, instead of the knife, is just carefully pull it apart. The grain on rattan is like perfect. And look at that, perfect sections. Now they're still triangular, okay? Here's the skin side, and here's the inside, which has a ridge on it, okay? Now what I need to do with this is square it off, okay? Now I need to keep the back as a flat, so I need to take the sides, okay, and square that, and this one top triangular ridge, which is the inside, I need to flatten that, and then I'll have a square, okay? So I need to make it just about 1/4 of an inch by 1/4 of an inch in width and girth, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. Alright, so I'm going to work on that for a while, and I'll show you the results. So here I've kind of squared off my ends a little bit, so they're not so triangular, okay? I've smoothed out the sides so that they don't splinter, and they're not sharp, okay? So because actually the very ends of these are your handles, okay? Now the next thing I want you to do is find your middle point, okay, and from there do about 7 inches on one side, 7 inches on the other, okay? So it's these black marks represent 14 inches from the middle, okay? So the exact middle, though, here, it's 7 this way and 7 this way, all right? So 14 inches in the middle. And what I want you to do is take your knife, and I want you to take the inside part, okay? So your skin is still on. Hopefully you didn't take that off, okay? The skin is still on the back. Now on the inside, I want you to take between this 14 inches, I want you to take it down a hair below 1/4 of an inch and round it off, okay? So that the inside is round, all right? Like a half cylinder, just like this, okay? Do not scrape off the skin on the back. All right, stay between the 14-inch marks, okay? And just keep doing that till you've taken it down just a hair below 1/4 of an inch. All right. Make sure there's nothing sharp. There's no splintering. If you want, you could take some sandpaper, clean everything up. Okay. All right. Because we want this area here, where the black marks are, between that has to be able to bend and have friction around the base, okay, the female part. Now you see this area here of this bend, see how it's stiffer there? See how it bends here and it's stiffer there? I need to scrape here more to make this even. So find that spot, because you want it to bend evenly. In a way, this is a lot like bow making. Like tillering a bow. See if that bends a little better. It's a little bit more even now, right? And that's tillering. Okay. I think we need to do really right in the middle. It's still a little thick there, because it really needs to bend around that spot. Okay. All right. It's getting close. All right. So we're almost there. All right, so let's prepare our base. So what I'm going to do is drill a hole in this. And again, the hole should be a little larger than the width of the blade. Okay, so whatever the width of the blade is, the hole needs to be slightly larger than that. Okay, maybe about a 16th to maybe an eighth of an inch on each side. All right, you should be able to see an eighth of an inch of hole on each side of the blade when you lay the blade over the hole. Okay, so we're going to do that. Come right back. Alright, so I placed the hole inside the base. Okay, now hopefully you'll be able to see this. If I take the blade, you could just see each side of the hole. Okay, just barely maybe. Alright, so that's the size we want. Alright, now the next thing that what I want to do actually is pre-mate this together. So I'm going to start a slight groove here, because when we start to mate this together and burn this together, it actually just slips all over the place. So a little bit of a start of a groove will help keep it in the place we want, right over the hole notch. Okay? So I'm going to do that with a round file, and we'll be right back. Alright, so we have our core 2 together. I put a bit of a groove around the base, and notice I didn't take a whole lot off. That surface area is necessary. You need that for the friction. So if you take off too much, okay, two things. One is you'll run out of wood for friction to happen. The second is you're going to end up cutting through this thing, and your base is just going to break. The whole thing is just going to snap. And then you're no good, okay? Which, by the way, may very well happen if we're not careful. Alright, so a lot of times it's good to use a whole section of wood if you can. And one of the reasons why the split stick method is really good for that. Alright. Now, I think we're ready. We have our blade, and we have our base, and here I have a pea-sized piece of tinder, which is going to go in the back, the flat part here. And really what this is for is for me to maintain temperature, because what's going to happen is a lot of heat is going to be lost out this hole. It has the ability to breathe air, but it's also holding in heat. Okay? So you want that temperature to rise. Now, this part, the round part, is going to be down and under my foot, and the blade is going to come across this way. Alright, so let's fix up the camera angle on the floor, or you know what, maybe I'll just do this on the table up high. Yeah, I think we'll do that. Okay, let me get situated and we'll come right back. So what you normally do, okay, is you need something to prop your base up on, because you need a space for the blade to run under. Now obviously if this is flat on the floor, the blade is stopped by the floor, and that's friction that we do not want. So your base is usually propped up on something to create a space, okay, and then you're stepping on the board like this. Now keep in mind that you're cutting through the board. It's almost like you're sitting on a branch in a tree and you're sawing the branch off the tree. Well, you're sitting on that branch, so it's that kind of thing. So you're standing on this base and you're cutting through the base, okay? You don't want it to snap, because if it snaps, your base is broken and you've destroyed your ability to get a coal. So your base should always be you should always make your base stronger than you think you need it, okay? Because basically you're taking wood out and you're making it weaker as you're applying forces to it that are going to make it break, okay? But what I've done here is I have this trough here, okay, in my table, which is a space. So, and again, I don't trust the quick clamps, so I've very securely C-clamped our base to the table, okay? And so the ends are obviously my handles, okay? The ends are obviously my handles. And I'm going to get on the table, have to make this together, alright? Get rid of this lamp. And you need to kind of mold the middle of the blade to the base, okay, to kind of get it going. Now, there's a reason why I chose these dimensions for the blade, and that's because I would rather run out of energy than to have the blade break and snap. If you make your blade or your base too thin, then they break when you still haven't gotten a coal and you still have energy to go, okay? But it's a fine line. Put this over here. Get up on the table. Hopefully I won't break the table. I haven't been up here in a while. Alright. So we have to get this molded. In a way, we're still in the pre-mating stages, but now we're actually mating this together. See, I still have a thick part in here. I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is take that down. I have a thick part here. So it's not bending very well here, right here in the middle. So I need to make that more flexible. It has to be evenly flexible. Okay, if you could see, it's not. It's actually skipping because it's too thick right here. Too thick right here, it's not bending. Okay, so we're pre-mating. Let's fix this, go back together and see if it'll mate together again. Okay, this is one of the complications you'll run into. Alright, so I tried to work that out. Let's see if this mates a little better. Oh, that's much smoother. It seems to be bending more. equal. Alright, so I think we're going to get it warmed up. It's starting to smoke. So we're just going for it. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Alright, let's have a look. Oh, it's smoking still. It's there, definitely. I pushed some splinters in there. We got a coal inside. You can see it smoking. Oh, whoops. So we're going to take a bit of a nail and we're going to drop that coal into this tinder bundle carefully. And there we are. Very small, tiny tinder bundle. I wonder if it'll go. Pretty small. And there we go. Fire thong. So here's the base. Here's what it looks like afterward. Okay. It's a good view of that. Now, if I went a little longer, this would be really weak, and it would probably just break. Okay? In fact, it's near breaking. So we're very lucky. Okay? Here's our blade. Now, it's practically molded to this shape now. See, I'm not bending it. It looks like an arch now. Here's the inside. Okay, and it's burned into that arch shape now permanently. Now I may be able to get one more out of this, but chances are I wouldn't risk it and it would probably break on me. But I may be able to pull it off. Okay, so that's rattan on rattan. Again, you could use for the base any good bow wood. Nothing too hard, like for Egyptian drum. So we're going to do the split stick method now, and that'll be it for signs to the basic form. And then we'll do some bamboo with some very minor variations. Okay? Alright, let's keep going.